Commander Elias Rains stood at the viewing deck of the starship Eos V, staring into the endless black of space. He had seen many strange things during his years with the Interstellar Exploration Corps, but nothing prepared him for what he was. Feeling now, for 3 nights in a row, Elias had the same dream. In it, a tall woman with silver hair and glowing violet eyes stood in the shadows. Her voice echoed softly in his mind like wind through a canyon. She always said the same thing: "I've been waiting for you for centuries, human." At first, he thought it was just stress. Long missions had a way of playing with your thoughts. But then something stranger happened. Dr. Niem, the ship's chief scientist, called Elias to the medbay. "Commander, I think you should see this," Naeem said, holding a scanner. Elias looked at the screen. A complex pattern glowed on it, a shape that looked like a spiral made of DNA. "That's from me?" Elias asked, confused. Double quotes. "Yes. It appeared in your blood sample yesterday. Some kind of genetic activation sequence. Is that even possible?" Niam scratched his beard. "I didn't think so, but something triggered it. Maybe a signal. We picked up a faint frequency to light years back. It wasn't a normal transmission. It was something deeper. Not sound, not light, something that connects. Biologically." Elias's heart pounded. "You think the signal changed me?" "I think," Niem said slowly, "the signal was meant for you." Later, Elias stood on the bridge. His second in command, Lieutenant Kyra Voss, looked over navigation charts. "That signal, it's still pulsing from that rogue planet," she said. "It doesn't have a star. Just floating alone in the dark. No natural satellites. No signs of life." "Why would anything be sending a signal from there?" Elias asked. Kyra shrugged. "It's your call, Commander. Do we follow it?" Elias closed his eyes. The woman's voice echoed again in his memory. "I've been waiting for you." "Set course for the planet," he ordered. "Let's find out who's calling." The journey took less than a day through a nearby jump gate. When Eos V arrived, the crew gathered at the main viewing window. The planet below was black as coal, with glowing blue lines circling its surface. "Like veins? Energy grid?" Niem asked aloud. "No cities," Kyra said, reading her scanner. "But there's a large structure. Looks like a cathedral." Elias narrowed his eyes. "Prep a landing team." Hours later, Elias, Niem, Kyra, and 2 security officers touched down on the planet's surface. Their boots crunched on dry, glassy soil. The sky above was starless. The planet's thick clouds blocked any light from space. The structure ahead rose like a mountain. Tall spires pierced the dark clouds. The walls were smooth, black stone that shimmered faintly. "It's like it was carved from one piece," Kyra whispered. "Who could build this?" Inside, the air was strangely warm. Lights flickered softly along the walls as if sensing their presence. Symbols lined the corridors, glowing scripts they couldn't read. Then they entered the main chamber. Elias stopped in his tracks. Statues lined the walls. Tall, humanoid figures with wings folded like cloaks. Their faces were sharp, elegant, and inhuman. Fangs glinted from their mouths. "These aren't just statues," Naeem said. "These are tombs." At the end of the hall was a large stasis pod. Inside, a woman lay sleeping. She looked exactly like the one in Ilias's dreams, silver hair. Violet eyes closed in rest, an armor made of dark metal and bone. Her hands were crossed over her chest. She looked peaceful, but powerful. "She's alive," Naeem said. "Vital signs are stable. This pod is keeping her in suspended animation." "Should we open it?" Kyra asked, unsure. Elias stepped forward. As he did, his hand brushed the side of the pod. Instantly, a blue light moved from the surface into his fingers. He felt it, a pull deep in his chest. His eyes widened. The pod hissed. Slowly, it began to open. Commander Kyra shouted, reaching for her weapon. "Wait." Elias held up a hand. "Don't." The lid slid open, and the woman inside opened her eyes. They glowed like stars. She sat up slowly, looking directly at Elias. Her expression was calm, not aggressive, as if she had been expecting him. Then she smiled. and her voice rang out, not spoken aloud, but inside his mind. "I've been waiting for you for centuries, human." Everyone in the chamber froze. Elias stepped closer, his heart racing. "Who are you?" Her lips moved now, and her voice was soft and deep. "I am Virelia of the Noctiri, last of the Highborn. You carry the echo of a promise, made long before your world remembered how to speak." Niam whispered, "The Noctiri. That name is in the old galactic myths, creatures of shadow and stars. They were thought to be extinct." Virelia stood. She was taller than Elias, graceful but strong. Her gaze never left him. "I slept for many ages waiting for one with your blood, the one who could awaken the bond." "Why me?" Elias asked. "Because," she said, "you are the key. Last door has opened. And now the stars will remember what they tried to forget." Commander Elias Rain stood frozen. The ancient woman Virelia had just stepped out of her stasis pod. She was real, not a dream, not a vision. The same woman who had appeared in his sleep now stood before him, eyes glowing softly in the dark chamber. The others on the landing team didn't know what to do. Their hands were near their weapons, but Elias raised his hand. "She's not hostile," he said calmly. Virelia looked around slowly, as if waking from a long, deep sleep. The chamber lit up in response to her presence. Strange lights traveled along the floor and walls, forming shapes and patterns like writing. "You have awakened more than just me," she said, her voice smooth like flowing water. "This cathedral is alive. It remembers." Niam stepped forward, still cautious. "You called yourself Noctiri. Who are they?" Virelia turned to face him. "We were the children of the shadow stars. Long ago we walked among many worlds. We were guardians of memory, keepers of the deep knowledge." "Why did you sleep here, alone?" Elias asked. Her eyes met his again. "Because we were betrayed, feared, hunted." She walked slowly past the statues, placing her hand gently. On one, each of these was a friend, a brother, a sister. They gave up their bodies so their minds could hide in the dreaming stone. But time forgets. Worlds move on. She turned back to Elias. "But you," she said, "you carry the spark. Are the link to the past." Elias stepped closer. "Why me?" Virelia looked deep into his eyes. "Because your kind was once our ally. Long before your people walked on two legs, the Noctiri helped shape your world. We planted our legacy in your blood, in your dreams." Niam's voice was barely a whisper. "Genetic memory." Virelia nodded. "It is why I could speak to you while I slept. Our bond was not made today. It was made centuries ago." The crew returned to the Eos V with Virelia. Some officers were nervous about having her on board, but Elias ordered full cooperation. She posed no threat, at least not yet. In the science lab, Virelia showed them star maps stored in her memory. She used her touch to activate the ship's systems in ways no one had ever seen. "These paths," she explained, pointing to glowing lines, "are the lost roads, the ancient driftways. Once used by the Noctiri and our allies." Kyra crossed her arms. "But none of these are in our current maps. We've never seen these sectors. That is because they were erased," Virelia said. "Long ago, the Apharian Concord declared our knowledge forbidden. They destroyed every trace of us they could find." "Why?" Elias asked. Virelia's voice lowered. "Because we would not kneel. The Concord wanted control of the psionic. Stream the flow of thought and energy that links minds across the stars. We protected it. They feared us for it." She looked at Elias again. "You are sensitive to it. That is how I reached you. The signal you followed was more than a call. It was a test. You passed." That night, Elias had another dream. He was standing in a vast hall of stars. Virelia stood beside him, but she looked different, wearing royal armor, a glowing crown on her head. Behind her were hundreds of winged figures, eyes burning like suns. "You are one of us now," she said. "Will you accept your role?" Elias hesitated. "What role?" "To be the voice of truth," she said, "to remind the galaxy who we were, what we still can be." He woke with a start, heart racing. The next day, Varelia requested access to the planet's central core. She said it held the memory crystal, a device that recorded the final thoughts of the Noctiri. It will explain everything, she said. Elias approved the mission. He, Varelia, Kyra, and Neem returned to the cathedral. This time deeper. Through secret doors and long-forgotten passageways, they reached a large chamber with a glowing orb at its center. The memory core, Varelia said. Touch it, Elias. He stepped forward. The moment his fingers touched the orb, the room filled with light. A vision surrounded them all, a memory thousands of years old. They saw the Noctiri standing in a grand hall, facing angry leaders from other species. The Concord accused them of mind control, of corruption, of stealing power. The Noctiri offered peace, offered to share their knowledge. But the others refused. War followed. The memory ended with the Noctiri choosing to disappear into sleep, leaving behind messages for the future. For you, Varelia whispered. Back on the ship, the crew was divided. Some believed Varelia's story. Others thought she was dangerous. Then, without warning, the ship's scanners lit up. Commander Kyra shouted, "We've been detected?" By who? Neem looked at the screen. It's a signal beacon from the planet. It just activated. Varelia's face grew cold. They know I'm awake. Who? Elias asked. The Concord, she said. They will come. To finish what they started, the mood aboard the Eos V was tense. Since the signal beacon on the rogue planet had activated, everyone knew something was coming. Something big. Commander Elias Rain sat alone in his quarters, staring at a blinking star chart. The signal from the planet had sent out a powerful pulse across deep space. Now, someone or something had received it. The voice of Varelia still echoed in his head. They will come to finish what they started. In the command center, Lieutenant Kyra Voss watched over the long-range scanners. Still no sign of incoming ships, she said, but her voice didn't sound calm. She was worried. Dr. Neem looked up from his monitor. If it's the Ephirian Concord, we may not detect them until they are close. Your stealth tech is far beyond anything we have. Elias entered. Status. No change, Kyra said, but that's the problem. It's too quiet. Varelia stood in the corner, dressed in a long, dark cloak, now made from materials she had found in the ancient cathedral. She didn't need food, she didn't need sleep. But she understood emotions, and she could feel the fear around her. They will not speak first, she said. The Concord never talks. They destroy. Elias nodded. Then we prepare. Later, that evening, Varelia asked to speak with Elias in private. They walked together in the ship's observation dome. Through the thick glass, the dark planet could still be seen below, silent and cold. Do you believe I'm the enemy? Varelia asked suddenly. Elias was silent for a moment. I don't know what to believe. Varelia turned to him. The Concord will tell you we fed on your kind, that we ruled through fear, but the truth is different. Then tell me the truth, Elias said. She looked away. We were guardians of knowledge, Elias, but we were also science. We could see into minds, feel emotions, touch memories. Only took energy from those who offered it willingly. In exchange, we healed pain, cured sickness, and taught wonders. Then why did the Concord turn on you? Because we wouldn't kneel, she answered. They feared what they couldn't control, so they destroyed it. She paused, then added softly, You carry our blood, Elias. A part of your DNA was shaped by us long ago. That's why you heard me in your dreams. That's why you felt the pull. Elias looked into her glowing eyes. What happens to me now? You are becoming a scion, Varelia said. Your powers are awakening. The next morning it began. Commander Kyra shouted. Unidentified vessel approaching fast. No response to hails. Elias ran to the bridge. Up on the main screen. A massive ship appeared from behind a nearby moon. It was shaped like a giant blade, dark and silent. The Concord, Varelia said coldly. A dreadnought class. The ship sent a brief message. Surrender the Noctiri relic, or be erased. Elias stared at the screen. They don't even ask questions. They never do, Varelia replied. The crew looked to Elias. "What now, Commander?" Elias breathed slowly. "We don't surrender our people. Ever." The EOSV wasn't a warship, but it had defenses. The dreadnought began charging its weapons. The ship shook under a warning blast. "Shields holding," Kyra said, "but not for long." Elias stood at the center of the bridge, thinking fast. They couldn't outrun the Concorde, but maybe they could outthink them. He turned to Varelia. "Can you use your powers? Do something?" She nodded. "If I link with you fully, I can boost your psion energy. Together, we might reach the Dreadnought's crew. Cloud their minds, confuse their aim." Elias hesitated. "Will it hurt?" "No," she said, stepping closer. "But it will change you." Elias reached out his hand. "Then let's do it."
Aaliyah
Placed her hand over his heart. A soft light grew between them. Elias felt warmth and a flood of memories. It's not just his, but hers. The fall of the Noctiri, their ancient songs. The way stars looked from her homeworld, power rushed through him. Suddenly he could feel the fear. Inside the enemy crew, he could sense the confusion, the doubt, and he reached for it. Inside the Concorde ship, the commander gripped his chair. "Report, sir. Our targeting systems. They're glitching. Our crew is hearing voices. Impossible." We blocked. Psychic interference. But it was already too late. Varelia and Elias's minds moved through the enemy like wind in a storm. Their bond created a pulse of emotion, fear, sorrow, hope. The kind of hope that makes soldiers hesitate. And in that moment, the EOSV struck back. Using the confusion, the crew launched EMP torpedoes at the dreadnought. One hit the engines, another hit the power core. The enemy ship shook and drifted back. "They're retreating," Kyra shouted. "We did it." Elias fell to one knee. His head hurt. His thoughts were spinning. But he was alive, and Varelia was there, holding his hand. "You've taken the first step," she said. "You're one of us now." Later, in the quiet of the medical bay, Elias looked at his reflection. His eyes now had a faint glow, not bright, but there, sign of the psionic bond. Niam entered holding a scanner. "Your brain activity has changed, Elias. You're thinking faster, feeling more. You're not just human anymore." Elias looked out the window at the stars. "No," he said, "I'm something more." The air aboard EOSV was no longer tense, it was sharp. Every crew member walked the halls with alert eyes, knowing something had changed. They had just survived an attack from the Concorde, a powerful enemy from the ancient past. But survival came with a price. Commander, Elias Rain now carried something inside him, something old, strange, and powerful. He was changing in the medbay. Dr. Niam checked Elias's vitals. "You're stable, but your brain is running faster than ever before. Your heart rate, your senses of in your cells are stronger." Elias sat on the medical bed, calm but distant. "I feel things," he said. "Emotions that aren't mine. Thoughts I don't understand. I connected to the psionic." "Stream now," said a voice from the doorway. Varelia stepped into the room, her eyes glowing faintly. "You've awakened more than your mind. Your memory is waking too. The memory buried deep in your blood." Elias looked at her. "That means," she walked closer, "it means others will sense you now. Not just the Concorde. There are more out there. Hunters. They were made to destroy my kind." And he frowned. "What kind of hunters?" Varelia's voice dropped low. "The Holoborn. Machines once human, built to track and erase all psionic life. They don't think, they don't feel. They follow the last orders ever given to them." "Are they still active?" Elias asked. Varelia closed her eyes. "If they feel your mind, they will wake." Not long after, the warning siren echoed across the ship. Kyra Voss, standing on the bridge, shouted into the com. "Commander, we've picked up movement. Something's rising from under the surface of the planet." Elias ran to the bridge. The main screen showed cracks forming in the black ground below. A massive structure was rising from deep underground. It wasn't natural. It was metallic, smooth and shaped like a huge tower. "It's a signal emitter," Naeem said. checking his console. Old tech, not Noctiri. Varelia's face turned cold. The Hollowborn are waking. Then minutes. The ground near the structure opened wider. Figures began to rise tall. Silver beings with long arms, glowing eyes, and smooth helmets. Fused to their heads, they looked almost human, but not quite. They moved without sound, without words. Life signs? Elias asked. Kyra shook her head. None. But they're moving like soldiers. Elias stared at them. How many? Dozens, Kyra said. Maybe more underground. Can we leave? Niam asked. Varelia turned to Elias. You could run, but they would follow your mind across the stars. They will never stop unless we destroy their core. Where is it? Elias asked. She pointed to the base of the new tower. Buried beneath that, if we destroy the mind core, the Hollowborn will fall. Elias formed a plan. He, Varelia, Kyra, and a tactical unit would go down to the surface. Yanim would stay on the ship and monitor the Hollowborn's behavior. If anything went wrong, EOSV would lift off and escape. Just in case, Elias said, I don't come back. The landing team descended to the surface. The air was colder now. The black soil crackled beneath their boots. The Hollowborn stood motionless, but their heads slowly turned as the team approached. They sense you, Varelia whispered. Elias felt it too, a cold wind in his mind, like ice brushing across his thoughts. The team reached the tower. Its entrance was a dark, narrow tunnel lit by faint blue lights pulsing from within. They moved inside slowly, weapons ready. We're being watched, Kyra whispered. I know, Elias replied. I can feel it. Inside the tower, strange symbols lined the walls, like the ones from the Noctiri Cathedral. These were harsh. In sharp machine language, not meant to be read by living minds, they reached a deep chamber. At the center floated a glowing cube, surrounded by spinning rings. The mind core of Varelia said, Destroy it, and the Hollowborn will lose. Their link. Just then, a loud noise echoed through the tower. The walls trembled. They're coming, Kyra warned. We've got maybe 1 minute. Elias stepped toward the core. Da-da-da-da. As he did, images filled his mind, memories not his own. A war. Burning. Cities, human scientists, building the Hollowborn as protectors. Then reprogramming them into weapons. They were once like us, he said. Not anymore, Varelia said. Now they are echoes of fear. Elias placed both hands on the core. His psionic energy lit up. The rings around the cube shook. Suddenly a tall Hollowborn figure appeared in the doorway. It raised a weapon. Kyra fired first. Sparks flew. The figure dropped. Do it, Elias, she shouted. Elias closed his eyes. He reached into the core not just with his hands, but with his mind. He saw the code. He saw the pain. Then he let go. Burst of light filled the room. The tower shook violently. The mind core cracked, sparks flying in every direction. Outside, the Hollowborn froze. Their glowing eyes dimmed then. One by one, they fell. Back on the EOSV, Niam cheered. There. Down. Every one of them. Elias did it. On the surface, Elias opened his eyes. The core was gone. The tower was silent. He turned to Varelia. It's over. She nodded. For now, but you've awakened something else. Every time you use your power, others will notice. Let them come, Elias said. We'll be ready. Later, as the EOSV rose back into orbit, Leah stood in the observation dome again. Varelia joined him. You are more than a soldier now, she said. You are becoming what the galaxy has forgotten. A protector. Leas looked out at the stars. Then let's remind them. Space looked calm, but it never truly was. After the destruction of the Hollowborn mind core, the crew of EOSV returned to orbit. The tower on the dark planet had collapsed. Silent machines no longer moved. But peace was not promised, only borrowed. Commander Elias Rain stood in the ship's meditation chamber. Alone, he was trying to control the new energy inside him, the strange gift passed down through bloodlines, wakened by Varelia. But something else had begun. A new sound had joined the edges of his thoughts. A whisper. Not Varelia's voice. Not his own. It was something older. Virelia entered quietly. You heard them, she said, reading his expression. Elias turned. You hear them too. Not clearly, she replied. Not yet. But you are growing faster than I did. The veil between this world and the psionic field is thin for you now, and they know. Who are they? She paused before answering. Not enemies, not friends. Beings from beyond time, the starborn echoes. They existed before light. It's some say they taught the Nocturi long ago. Others say they simply watched. And now they're watching me? Elias asked. She nodded. You woke the Hollowborn. You destroyed them. That echo went deep into the field. Now the Starborn are listening. Elias felt a chill. What do they want? Virelia's voice lowered. To test you. Meanwhile, in the ship's data chamber, Dr. Naeem was looking through old files found in the Hollowborn Tower. Among broken machine code, he found a strange message written in a forgotten script Kyra helped translate. It's not Concord language, she said. It's something else, ancient. It speaks of a gate beyond stars, Niem said. Something that can be opened only by someone with psionic light. They brought it to Elias. It could be a trap, Kyra warned. Or it could be the key to understanding what I am, Elias said. Virelia stared at the message. The Veil Gate, she whispered. I thought it was only a myth. The crew voted. It would follow the star map hidden in the code. The map led to a quiet star system far beyond any charted routes. They called the place Echo Sector. It took 5 days of travel through warp space. Each day, Elias grew stronger. He could now sense people's emotions across the ship. He could touch their surface thoughts gently. Not invade, but understand. Kyra was both amazed and uneasy. You're still Elias, she said. Sometimes I feel like you're something else now, too. I'm still me, he promised. But I'm more now, and I have to use it for something good. When they reached Echo Sector, they found a planet covered in white mist. No signals came from it, no signs of life. But Elias knew something was there. They landed near a glowing stone circle deep in the mist. Symbols hovered in the air above it, dancing like dust in sunlight. This is it, Virelia said. The Veil Gate. Elias stepped toward it. The moment his foot touched the center, everything changed. The world around him melted into light. He stood in a place without shape, just stars, floating islands, and glowing threads of memory. He heard voices, hundreds, thousands. Some were Nocturi, some were human, some were something else, echoes from forgotten stars. You walk between worlds. One voice said. You carry a lost light, another whispered. Will you listen? Asked a voice like thunder wrapped in silk. Elias stood still. I will. In an instant, knowledge filled his mind. He saw the history of the Nocturi, their rise, their fall, their sacrifice. He saw the Hollowburn's creation, not by enemies, but by humans who feared what they couldn't understand. He saw the starborn beings who never spoke aloud, but shaped thoughts across time, and he saw a future, a path where war could return, or peace could be built through new understanding, but only if he was strong enough to choose. Then the light faded. Elias opened his eyes. He was back at the gate. Virelia stood nearby, watching him. You were gone for a second, she said. No, he replied. I was gone for a lifetime. Back aboard the ship, Elias gathered the crew. I saw a warning, he said. The Concord is building something. A weapon powered by stolen psionic energy. If they finish it, they won't just destroy life. They'll erase thought. Niem frowned. How? Thought isn't something you can destroy. They're building a machine that eats memory, Elias said. A device that unravels minds. The room was silent. Virelia stepped forward. Then we must stop them. Kyra nodded. What's the plan, Commander? Elias looked at his team. We go to the Concord's core world. We shut it down. And we show them that humans and those who walk with them won't be silent. Any more? Later that night, Virelia stood beside Elias in the observation dome. You have changed, she said softly, and yet you're more human than any I have ever met. I don't want to become a weapon, he replied. I want to be a bridge. Then be that bridge, she said, between past and future, between fear and hope. Far away, on a dark Concord world, machines hummed quietly. A hooded figure stood in front of a tall glass tank filled with silver. Liquid, it pulsed once like a heartbeat. He is awakening, the figure whispered. The human with psionic blood. The last spark.
God.
Another figure stepped out of the shadows. Then we must burn it out. Before others remember who they are. EOCV moved silently through the void, heading toward the heart of the Concords. Territory, a dark planet called Valkyr Prime. It was a place of endless factories and glowing towers, where machines hummed and men were few. Commander Elias Rain stood on the bridge, his eyes steady, but his mind a storm. This mission will decide everything, he said. If the Concord finishes their weapon, all minds in the galaxy will be at risk. Kyra Voss tightened her grip on the console. We have no choice but to stop them. Varelia stood near Elias, her presence calm but strong. Your power is growing. The starborn voices guide you. Elias looked at her. Sometimes I wonder if it's a gift or a curse. She smiled softly. You are what you choose to be. Inside the ship's command center, Niem studied data streams. The Concord's weapon is located deep underground in Valkyr Prime's main city. It's protected by layers of force fields and psionic blockers. We'll have to break through, Elias said. But it won't be easy, Niem warned. They've developed new tech since the last time we fought. The EOSV dropped out of warp near Valkyr Prime. The planet looked like a storm in space, dark clouds swirling, with sharp flashes of lightning from powerful energy plants. Ilias's heart beat faster. Prepare for stealth landing. ... Crew moved quickly. The tactical teams armed themselves with energy rifles and psionic dampeners. Varelia and Elias went together as the ship landed quietly in a hidden valley. Elias whispered, "This is where the real fight begins." They moved through the city's outskirts under the cover of night. Machines patrolled the streets there, glowing eyes, searching. Elias felt the psionic pulse growing stronger. The weapon's energy field was like a fire burning in the mind. "Stay close," Varelia said. "I can shield us, but only for a short time." The team reached a massive tower that pierced the storm clouds. It was the weapons control center. Inside, they found a labyrinth of steel halls and flashing lights. Suddenly, alarms blared. "They found us." Kyra shouted through combs. Ilias's heart pounded. "Move! Find the core!" They ran deeper, into the building. Varelia's power flickered around them, blocking the enemy's psychic sensors, but the Concord's forces were close. Robotic soldiers with weapons that fired beams of blue light. Elias raised his rifle, but then stopped. A strange feeling came over him, a whisper in his mind. "Use your fire." He closed his eyes and reached deep into his psionic energy. A wave of bright light exploded from his hands. The robots froze, sparks flying as their circuits shorted. The crew stared. Elias smiled faintly. This is just the beginning. They reached the weapons chamber. At the center stood a giant machine, a swirling orb of energy trapped inside a cage of metal and wires. "This is it," Naeem said over the mind eater. Elias stepped forward. Suddenly, a voice boomed across the room. "Human." A figure appeared, tall, wrapped in a dark cloak with glowing eyes. "You think you can stop the Concord's destiny?" Elias squared his shoulders. "I'm here to stop your destruction." The figure laughed softly. "You carry the blood of the Noctiri, but you lack their power." Ilias's eyes flared. "I am more than you imagine." The battle began. The cloaked figure fired blasts of dark energy. Elias dodged and returned psionic fire. The room shook. Varelia moved to protect the crew, creating shields from thin air. Kyra and the tactical team attacked the guards, trying to protect the core. Elias focused on the enemy. His power grew, fueled by the starborn voices. By his determination, he reached into the cloaked figure's mind. The figure gasped, clutching his head. "You cannot win," he hissed. But Elias was no longer just human. With one final burst, Elias sent a wave of light into the mind-eater machine. The orb shattered, releasing a sound like 1,000 minds. Breathing free, the machine died. The room fell silent. The cloaked figure collapsed. The light in his eyes fading outside. City's energy fields flickered and went dark. The Concorde's weapon was destroyed. Back on the EOSV, the crew celebrated quietly. Kyra smiled at Elias. You did it? Elias shook his head. We did. It together. Virelia placed a hand on his shoulder. But the voices are not silent. The Starburn are watching. Your journey is just beginning. Elias looked out at the stars again. Yes, he said softly. I will be ready. The stars outside the EOSV shone like ancient watchfires, silent and steady. Commander Elias Rain stood alone in the observation dome, feeling the calm after the storm. The Concorde's weapon was destroyed. The threat to all minds was lifted for now. But Elias knew the galaxy's dangers were never truly gone. Virelia entered quietly. Her eyes, glowing faintly as always, reflected the starlight. The starborn voices are quiet, she said softly, but not gone. Elias nodded. They told me I carry a spark, a light the galaxy has forgotten. She smiled, and that spark is you. The crew gathered for a meeting in the command hall. The mood was hopeful, yet serious. Kyra spoke first. We stopped the Concorde's weapon, but their fleet is still out there. They will rebuild, Dr. Niem added. Our research from the Hollowborn ruins suggests more ancient tech exists across the galaxy, powerful, dangerous, but also a chance to protect ourselves. Elias looked around at the faces of his crew, brave, determined, ready. We must prepare, he said, not just to fight, but to unite. Humans, Noctiri, all who seek peace. Virelia raised her hand. I will help. We'll teach those who want to learn the ancient ways. Together we can build a future where fear does not control us. Days later, the EOSV left Valkyr Prime's orbit. Elias stood on the bridge, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the strength of hope. His mind whispered again, soft voices from the Starborn, light will return. The journey took them to a distant star system, where a hidden Noctiri temple waited. There, Elias began to unlock his full power. The temple's walls glowed with runes, and the air hummed with energy. Virelia led the training. Your power is not a weapon, she said. It is a bridge, a light in the darkness. Use it to heal, to protect, to inspire. Elias trained day and night. He learned to focus his psionic energy, to connect deeply with others without overwhelming them. One evening, as 2 moons rose over the temple's peaks, Elias stood alone outside. He felt a presence behind him. The alien vampire woman, Virelia, stepped quietly into the moonlight. You have come far, she said. Elias smiled. Because you believed I could. She nodded. And I have waited for centuries for one like you. Someone who could carry the light. He looked into her eyes. What happens now? Now, she said, you become the galaxy's hope. The bridge between past and future, between species, worlds, and hearts. Back on the EOSV, the crew prepared for new missions. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers, but also wonders. Kyra looked at the stars. We've lost much, but we have each other, and that's the greatest strength, Niem added. We will find more ruins, more knowledge. We will learn, we'll grow. Elias stood at the helm, ready. He raised his hand toward the stars. The psionic energy glowed softly. Warm and bright, he whispered. Let the light return. Far away, deep in the darkness, the faintest glow began to grow. A new dawn was coming. The galaxy was waking, and Elias was ready. The end.